Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So if you're a Manchester United fan, you're hearing and you're seeing a lot of changes are happening at the club right now. From top to bottom, you're hearing names like Brailsford, Blanc, Barada, Ashworth. Are you wondering, what the hell are they going to do at Manchester United and why are they being brought in? Well, in this video, we're going to answer those questions that you have, look at the structure at the club and find out just what they're going to be doing. Now, if you remember, when Ralph Rangnick was here, he was quoted as saying that Manchester United needs open heart surgery. They needed to change as a club, as an institution. They just needed a whole lot of change. And since Ineos have come in, led by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, even though they've only got 25% of the club, they're acting like they own the whole lot. And they are implementing some much needed change at Manchester United. So whilst all these changes are going on, let's fill you in on just what they mean for Manchester United and hopefully the direction they can take us in. We'll be getting stuck into that in this video. But before we do me a little favor. I'm not sure if you've noticed over the last couple of weeks, we've been pumping out a lot more videos on this channel. I'm trying to find that consistency again on this channel. Obviously, I got loads going on Stretford Paddock, on the club. Well, this channel is obviously still going to have loads of videos for you. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, liking this video and getting your comments in the comments below as well. Right then, let's get stuck in. Someone that we've seen a lot alongside Sir Jim Ratcliffe, who is obviously the top of this tree alongside Ineos, is Sir Dave Brailsford, who's from Ineos and is their director of sport. Now, he's the guy that you see walking around with Jim Ratcliffe an awful lot, heading to Carrington, heading to Old Trafford, etc., etc. He was even there when Sir Jim Ratcliffe met the squad and met all the players and the staff and everything. He's an important confidant to Jim Ratcliffe and everyone there. Now, he was the director of sport at Ineos, but he has had a role change. He's looking to focus just on Manchester United. And what he's doing is conducting an audit of Manchester United. This is a quote from the Mirror, in a bid to turn the struggling team into a winning machine. So he's looking at everything at Manchester United from top to bottom. And he's focused on Manchester United, as you've seen by him dropping the other roles that he has for Ineos in order to focus on these changes. And he will be someone that is looking, who's the best person to go in here? Who do we need to put in here? Who needs to make these decisions, etc., etc. And he'll also be someone that is very highly trusted by Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and everybody else there. So that is great to see that we've got someone that is not only working from in Manchester United, but also that link up to Ineos and everybody else and their board. Now, another one of these people that will be working alongside Ineos is Sir Jim Ratcliffe and, of course, Dave Brailsford, is Jean-Claude Blanc. Not Jean-Claude Blanc Dam, as I often call him, Jean-Claude Blanc, who is the chief exec of Ineos Sport. Previously, he's held positions at Juventus as well as Paris Saint-Germain. He held positions there too. And it's interesting, in his time at Juventus, he was there from 2006. He helped Juve recover after that Calciopoli. Remember that when they got relegated? He had to help Juventus recover after that relegation. He installed Didier Deschamps as the manager of Juventus, a man that went on to win the World Cup with France, etc. And he persuaded the likes of Buffon, Del Piero and Nedved to stay at the club despite the fact that they had got relegated and were in Serie B. He also had to deal with the loss of the likes of Zlatan, Vieira, Cannavaro, amongst the names that did leave Juventus at this time when they were relegated. But his persuasion to the likes of Didier Deschamps, who joined on a much lower wage, the likes of Buffon, Del Piero, Nedved, was that we'll be right back up there. We will be right back up there. So he was obviously confident in his abilities to make those changes and to see himself get through that point, and Juventus get through that point when they were going through such turmoil. Here's a quote from him at that time as well when he was speaking to the Financial Times. He said, "You arrive in this environment that is necessarily dynamic because you have a mountain of problems to deal with at once. Practically 100 days are decisive for the club's future. If you make a bad decision in those 100 days, it's over. Then it would take 20 years to return. In those 100 days, we took many good decisions." Someone that worked alongside him at Juventus, Giovanni Cabili Gicli, I hope I've said his name right. He spoke to The Athletic and he described him as a top of the class kind of guy. He's very smart. He knew he was top of the class. So he had, shall we say, the presumption of someone who's top of the class. I don't say that to be critical. I say it to paint a picture. He's a good negotiator. He was someone who knew the world of sport because he worked in other sectors. I found him someone capable of managing complex problems like those affecting Juventus, particularly in the early days after the Calciopoli case. So well experienced in dealing with turmoil and a club that needs to go through changes. He then joined PSG and he stayed there for 11 years from 2011 to 2022. And when he arrived at PSG, he said he wanted to make PSG the biggest sports franchise in the world, both on and off the pitch. This led to big deals with the likes of Nike and Jordan, which saw the club's turnover go from 90 million euros to 700 million euros, which kind of shows you the stature and the scale of change that he made at PSG in terms of making them a big club when they had that Qatari investment going in there. He also played a big part in stadium and training redevelopment as well. Now, whilst they haven't won that European Cup or the Champions League, they have without doubt been competing at that top end. You also look at the likes of players that he brought in at some point to kind of boost their profile and boost their name, the likes of David Beckham, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, etc. And when he left PSG, he left, he was given a massive leaving party, and they held him in very, very high regard over there in Paris. Now, one of the things I picked up from the Athletics article on Blanc was that Blanc's knowledge of stadium projects should prove helpful for United, with Sir Jim Ratcliffe's Ineos setting aside funds to revamp Old Trafford and boost the ground's capacity. And his time at Juventus when they would have changed stadium, his time at PSG when they would have had to change aspects of their stadium, will give him a lot of experience and it will be well versed in having to deal with those kind of things and the issues that you face when either moving or changing your current stadium. Another one of his former colleagues said he was always a perfect gentleman, respectful and dignified in not always easy circumstances. His personal humility is one of his biggest strengths in a macho industry. He's an incredibly respectful, humble man. He is nice to everyone, and in return, he gets that respect back from everyone. His role was behind the scenes. Everything went through Jean-Claude. He was in charge of budgets to last for 11 years is massively impressive. And then that's when he left and he ended up at Ineos. And it's interesting here, there was a Lorient exec who described him as a bit like the Lionel Messi of sports business. He told the French newspaper L'Equipe, "It is not only a question of expertise, but of interpersonal skills. He brings his vision, his network, his calm, his experience." And it was originally thought that Blanc would take on the role as a chief executive. However, it turns out that returning to the all-consuming daily demands of being a club CEO, this comes from The Athletic, did not appeal to him, which brings us on to Omar Barada. So just to catch up, you've obviously got Jim Ratcliffe, Ineos guys at the top. Then you've got Sir Dave Brailsford as well on that board. And you've also got Jean-Claude Blanc on that board too, who will be someone who will be a conduit and someone that will be on the ground there looking at what the hell is going on at Manchester United. And these are guys that are experienced in their field, especially when you're looking at Jean-Claude Blanc, who's been at PSG and been at Juventus. So then we move on to Omar Barada, who has come in as our CEO. Omar Barada was at Manchester City's City Football Group. Let's just call him Manchester City for the sake of this video. And he resigned as their Chief Football Operations Officer. That resignation was one that the City guys didn't really see coming, and they didn't want to see coming because he was someone that was highly thought of there. He used to work for Tiscali when he was in a commercial position at Tiscali, the phone company. Then he moved to Barcelona, where he was working on their commercial deals and working at Barcelona to make their commercial deals and bringing money for them, on and off the pitch. And then he joined City Football Group. That's where he held like a commercial director's role, a director of partnership sales, before moving into his chief football operations officer role. So it shows you've got someone here that not only understands the demands and the dynamics of a successful football club on the football pitch, as we've seen from Manchester. We can talk about how they've got there and, the rules they've broken, all these kind of different things. Interestingly, the commercial rules that they've broken, Omar Barada apparently was involved in that, which you'd hope so anyway, with Manchester United bringing him in. But He's someone that's been used to working for a football club that demands success on the pitch, but also having to build a football club in terms of the commercial side of things off the pitch. And Manchester United have to get the balance right for that. For far too long, we've been going one side, and that's to the commercial side, and we've neglected the other side, which is the football side. In bringing someone in like Omar Barada, hopefully we'll bridge that gap. And how great is it to see this? Not having an accountant run about making all these footballing decisions. Yes, decisions need to be made for the commercial benefit of the football club, but ultimately you will be a commercially successful football club, especially with a name like Manchester United, if you're successful on the football pitch. Interestingly as well, the official statement that Manchester United released at the time read, the club is determined to put football and performance on the pitch back at the heart of everything we do. Omar's appointment represents the first step on this journey. Taking shots at the Glazers in an official statement through the club is incredible, by the way. As one of the most experienced football executives at the top of European football, Omar brings a wealth of football and commercial expertise with a proven record of successful leadership and a passion to help lead change across the club. Previously at Barcelona, he was head of sponsorships. These are just from my notes. I've ended that quote now. And before moving through those roles at Manchester City. So again, we're reiterating, he's got that expertise on and off the football pitch. And what he will be doing then is working alongside those other people below him, which we're going to get to now, and which could be in the shape of sporting director Dan Ashworth, who will be coming in from Newcastle. Now, this guy previously held positions at West Bromwich Albion. He was highly thought of by Tony Mowbray over there, and Peace as well, the chairman at West Bromwich Albion. Then he moved over to Brighton, where he had a lot of success in terms of transfers. When you see the likes of Moises Caicedo, Cucurella, etc., he was influential in terms of bringing those players to the club. And it was interesting, Henry Winter tweeted recently, on Dan Ashworth's laptop is a detailed rundown on every player imaginable, all areas and ages. He knows their strengths, weaknesses, stats, character and agents. He's more than a meticulous recruiter. He builds elite cultures. Huge coup if Manchester United can prize him from Newcastle United. He also went to say, Henry Winter, he understands the need for heavyweight overseas signings and England stars, but added, in 2008, this is what he said from his own words, Dan Ashworth, the most cost-effective way of filling your first team squad is through your academy. So if you can invest in and help develop your own homegrown players, is that not music to the ears of Manchester United fans? It bloody should be. Yes, we want to sign the best in class. Yes, we want to sign the best transfers, but also let's focus on our academy. Because as we can see, we've got some fantastic academy players. All you have to do is look at the likes of Kobbie Mainoo, Alejandro Garnacho as well. Although he came from Atletico Madrid, it's about recruitment and bringing him in at the right time into that academy to then develop for your first team. So those things are important as well. And you could, again, this is from Henry Winter, goes on to say, England's improved culture at all age groups is also significantly down to Ashworth's influence and his England DNA, 4-3-3, pressing and forward thinking. As FA Technical Director, Ashworth filled St George's Park with good quality people, so good that the German FA came and picked his brains. Ashworth set up the Director of Football course at the FA, emphasising the importance of development and recruitment. He said, if you don't get talent identification and your players right, you're stuffed. If you want to be a great manager, go get great players. And this is the guy that will be targeting and identifying those great players. Dan Ashworth, who will be coming over from Newcastle. According to Fabrizio Romano at the moment, he's given the yes to Manchester United. And now it's just a case of Manchester United dealing with either a period of garden leave for him at Newcastle or paying that compensation in order to bring him over. People that know him as well have also described him as likable, got a minimal ego, and is a people's person. And if you're going to be someone that kind of, works with so many different people at the club, you have to be likeable and you have to be able to deal with these people, because not only do you have to work with the manager, you have to work with the academy, you have to work with those people above you as well in terms of Omar Barada, Dave Brailsford, etc. So this is a crucial important signing and coup for Manchester United to bring in someone like this. And it's vitally important that you get the right man. And bringing him in, remember when I said We wanted to bring him in before. He didn't want to work under Murto. Now he wants to come to the club. He wants to work, just beneath Omar Barada and all those kind of guys. He wants to be at Manchester United in that capacity. Music to the ears of Man United fans that he's now decided to come here, in my opinion. Now, just to sum up what the sporting director will be responsible for at the club, is the overall philosophy throughout the teams and all age groups, women's, men's, whatever. It has to be the same philosophy throughout there. And he works with the head coach, the CEO, to identify targets, coaches, budgets, players in and out. So big job for a big man. And Dan Ashworth is very, very highly thought of. Now, of course, Dan Ashworth hasn't been confirmed as a Manchester United man yet, although the rumours are, that one's just a matter of time. Now, someone that's recently been linked and would be working just beneath him is Jason Wilcox, who would be reporting to Dan Ashworth in his position as sporting director. His role for Jason Wilcox hasn't really got a name for it yet. We haven't really seen an official name bandied about, but you could imagine to be head of recruitment, academy type of figure. And he's the Southampton director of football. He was the ex-City academy director as well. City wanted him to stay, but after 9 years, he wanted a new challenge, which saw him end up at Southampton in January 2023. Now, he's only been at Southampton for a little over a year, but in his position at Manchester City, and when he was working with their academy, he was credited with progressing the careers of the likes of Phil Foden, Cole Palmer, Rico Lewis, etc. So again, well thought of, well experienced, knows the right people, will have the right connects, and happy to work in this system. But again, this one, a little bit early to be speaking about Jason Wilcox, but he's someone that could be coming in to work just beneath Dan Ashworth. So then you're looking at, before you even get to a manager who is massively important, but having this structure above them as well, in terms of the Jason Wilcox with your academy and your recruitment, then you're looking at your sporting director in Dan Ashworth. Massive positions to be filled there for Manchester United. Then above that, you've got Omar Barada, the CEO. Yeah? See, I was about to say CEO of the ROC just because that bar's stuck in my head, but he's not of the ROC, he's of MUFC. The CEO, Omar Barada. And then above those guys, you've got the likes of Jean-Claude Blanc, Dave Brailsford, and of course, the likes of Jim Ratcliffe as well. So these are the changes that we're undergoing at Old Trafford at this moment in time. And hopefully I've explained a little bit more about what each of these individuals have done in their past and will be doing for Manchester United. But what it is going to be a collaborative effort of people who know what the fuck they are doing. And how long have we been crying out for this? They all need to be on the same, everyone needs to be on the same page. And fingers crossed, with this structure in place, then the next 2 to 3 years, and the short term, obviously, you start to see an improvement in recruitment, more, even more, fantastic players popping up in your academy. If we do need to make a change, those kind of changes to personnel should be seamless, because you'll have people like Dan Ashworth with his laptop full of players and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I've got a laptop full of players here, but it's my football manager. But these are guys that know what they're doing. So it feels so good at the moment to just be a Manchester United fan that's filled with a little bit of optimism. Now, look, I'm not going to get carried away. I'm not going to start thinking, that's it, Manchester United are back, we're going to win the league next season, all those kind of things. Because these changes take time, to be felt and to be implemented and all that. But it's great to see someone come in, like Ineos, like Jim Ratcliffe, and start making that change happen. Start making that open heart surgery happen and just getting stuck into it. Because you have to make changes. It's been clear. And the fact that so many changes have needed to be made at Old Trafford, some of these guys ain't replacing guys that are currently there. Some of these guys are coming in and being a new position. We should have had these guys ages ago. Not these certain individuals, of course, it would have been nice, but these certain positions should have been filled ages ago, because we should have been getting the best in class and the people that knew football to make the football decisions, that people that knew commerce to make the commerce decisions. Instead, we had an accountant running around. We had the lunatics running the asylum. We need it to be a case of the right football people making the right decisions. And only then, I think, can you truly judge a manager. Eric Ten Hag's come out and he said it's important that these guys are all joined up in their thinking. It's important for a manager that they all are. Jose Mourinho said the same thing. Ralph Rangnick said the same thing. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer alluded to the same things as well. Like every manager that's been at Manchester United has pretty much said the same things. The structure at the club is shot to bits and they need a new structure. That open heart surgery is now happening and we're seeing these changes made. And it's just great to see, man. And hopefully it leads to an improved club on the pitch as well as off it. Because for far too long, we've been down and negative about Manchester United. And it's great to just feel a little bit of positivity again in it. Anyway, I hope I've helped you guys a little bit with that, because it's definitely helped myself doing this little bit of research. As well, I have to credit the likes of The Athletic. They have some fantastic articles on these things, which I've quoted throughout this video. And hopefully I've made it clear when I've been quoting those. But yeah, thank you to you guys for tuning in and listening as well. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, like, comment, share. We'll have plenty more content for you over the weekend with reaction to that Luton game when hopefully Manchester United win. Because again, it's all starting to feel good again. Anyway, that's enough from me. See you later.